Hey guys, welcome to our very first Legion Chalk Talk. I am super pumped to have you, and you know, uh, I picked you two specifically for a very specific reason, and I'm really excited to get into it. But let's start with Jeff. Why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro of yourself for the Legion?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Brown. I'm the owner of CrossFit Bluestone. We're in Kempner, Texas, so we're on the west side of Fort Hood. Pretty rural area, like I said. The thing I think that's key about our box is very small community. We have about 60 members. Was very tight knit, and our core group been around. We're coming up on our 3rd-year anniversary. Been doing level method about the last 18 months. And it's really helped like even make us more cohesive because there's just more that objective drive to what we're doing. We're not just random about it, and that's how we're doing it here.
Awesome. All right, and Michael, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Michael Plank. My wife and I own Underwood Park CrossFit, which is in Fort Edward, New York, which is up kind of like on the southern edge of the Adirondacks, way upstate. We're coming up on our 6th year in business, and we've been doing level methods since we started in January of 2019. And I just kind of like dived in, and it's been awesome for us. It's been great for our community and our coaches, and has just been really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was telling for our audience, I was telling these two gentlemen that I picked them because they have done some things that have really produced really great results for their gym. Not only in like the culture inside of their gym, like Jeff was talking, but also in the growth of their membership. And so you guys, if you have come on recently, there's a good chance I sent you an SOP that Michael and possibly his wife put together on how they use the power moments or promotions with level method. And I want to dig into that. But first I want to just ask each of you, what has been like the big thing with level method? You guys have both been in this for a while. What's the big differentiator for each of you? And you may have already touched on that, but you can extrapolate even more. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, it's just like the efficiency of the hour. And then in a small group, like we don't have a competitive class or we don't differentiate that way. Just being able to take somebody that is, truly doing a brown level workout, and you need to give them the time to do, a muscle up progression, and have 3 or 4 people that are also doing a yellow workout. It took some time, but like people intuitively know where they're at, and they also kind of get to the point where it's like, when they want to push, maybe take it up a notch. But for me, like from my position, obviously it's great for the individual athletes, to work more progressively or more detailed at what they're doing. But for me, it's the simplifying of the hour as a coach. And then like the new coaches that I brought on, it's just been so easy, with the products that are there, with the coaches' notes, pretty limited discussion about a few things here and there. We do them a different way because maybe equipment or just some beliefs that we have, but just the efficiency factor. And I think that, will take us to some of the other things that Level Method are doing, right? So going into the social media stuff probably later in the conversation, but if you've spent some time doing like RX and scaled as a coach, you spend most of your time like making something up in the middle and not really off of anything objective, but it's off of, I've seen you do this 20 times before. So once we kind of made that switch, it made us better. Like we're obviously offering a better product, but it just helps that 1 hour of time be as comprehensive, I guess, as it could be for a vast, diverse set of people's abilities.
Do you think I kind of want to sit in that for a minute. Do you think your members that had gone through this time pre-level method to post-level method saw that there was a little more direction? Do you think they've actually noticed that, or is that just at a higher level? Like they feel is there any like feeling of maybe a little more success or a little more continuity between coaches? Like speak to that, if you will.
So maybe not right away. They didn't notice it. And, conversations I had with you in the past, we had like one or two people where, there was kind of the emotional or ego management thing of like, hey, this is like the new standard and this is why we're going to have this new standard. Some people had a little issue with that, but, 6 months down the road, they've come full circle. They understand. But the majority of people that were kind of used to like 4 to 6 person classes. So there was like there was time and space for individuality. But like as the classes grew, and just last Friday, I had like 18 people in one class, and which is a lot for our square footage. But the efficiency of it's 18 or 4 people, no, I don't think that the members see that because they don't remember 2 years ago when there was only 4 people and we could take 5 minutes and break it down for everybody. I would assume that they haven't perceived that over time, but when we, to go through an hour with 4 people, that's no different than with 12 or 15. Like I definitely noticed that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How about you? Same question, Michael. Like what has Level Method kind of done for you guys? What's the biggest impact?
It's tough to pick like the one biggest impact, but if I were to do that, I would say probably like the ability to help our members understand like the way that they're ascending their fitness. Like for me, I don't mind at all like grinding it out day in and day out with the idea that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But like we have exactly 2 members who are in that same boat. Everybody else like is going to get bored after, and it might take them 2 years, might take them 3 years before they get bored, but they're going to get bored. And so being able to say to them like, hey, here's where you are, and look at all this stuff that's still ahead of you, which both like lets them kind of like keep ascending and keep kind of making marks, but also, man, like it's super important for people that they feel special. And the fact that we have all these opportunities where we can make them feel like they're the star of the show for the day is just huge. And I think like that, what that has done for our members has been remarkable.
Yeah. So, have you seen that powerful, how is that worked in your gym, Jeff, where, people are working at kind of like a smaller step level where they're seeing their progress? Have you noticed opportunities there or members kind of digging into that and loving it the same as Michael?
Oh, absolutely. I like what he said about people, even myself, like I'm a larger person, stronger. But we just did my vitality. I've lost almost 20 pounds, which is good. And like, I'm excited to like hit some workouts where it's like, I ran the whole, the one where we did the overhead squats and the 400 meters runs, that was pretty tough to keep running the whole way. But that's something that 20 pounds ago wouldn't have been like my goal for the day. We also have another guy where just to watch him over, I don't know, probably a 3 or 4 month period where he's now doing double unders in the workouts at sometimes based on the weight, maybe not a Brown workout, but it's just like, it's something that he has now. And he's been going here for 2 years. And it's just like, he saw that thing, he worked on it, and now like it's in his bag. And then, kind of at the lower end of the scale, for me, I'm not like a techie person. I don't need a lot of stuff on my phone, but when we did switch to Chalkit, just the visualization of how it like chunks the color groups up, I saw more participation from people now like that are in the yellows and the oranges, because they kind of get aggregated together and they're like, this is what I did, and hey, that's pretty good. That was just right about where everybody else was, because they're doing what they should be doing. It was very nice this week to have the goals come back, because there's a kind of another key layer that helps people make sure that, and if we say, hey, we're going to do purple, we're going to maybe bite off a little more, it's okay if we go a little bit over, right? And have like that kind of sliding scale of success for people, that if you're going to try something harder, understand like what the consequences of that might be sometimes. And and also, you know, that the people that are doing the yellow and orange workouts can kind of see and know that they're right there with everybody else. Um, because it, you know, I would assume, you know, we have a couple guys, you know, a couple people that are like fire breathers, and you see that person just like lifting heavy weights and doing movements that you may never do. You know, that can become intimidating and frustrating over time. But chalk it was another big kind of thing that I don't perceive that I need, I guess, but just, you know, going that extra step, people being able to utilize that, I have noticed like more engagement on tracking workouts, which on the back end people don't really realize, but like I look at that every day,
Yeah.
right? So it's really easy for me to be like, oh, this person, they met the goal, they did roughly, you know, it's not like I'm keeping tabs on it, but it's another tool there. You know, I had a person that had a actually wrote in there, did not finish that double under workout, you know, so I got to go talk to that person because I wasn't coaching that particular class, and say like, you know, what did we do here? We were on vacation last week and we came back, this is the first workout we did. Like, okay, I understand, but you get to have that engagement because people are participating, you know, and they feel that was, you know, they wrote that in there because it was easy to use, and it's a conversation to go back. Not only, I think we focus on success a lot and all the tools to drive like what are we doing with success, but we also have to like be aware when somebody fails, you
Yeah.
know, and go like make sure we scoop them up, I guess, on the other end of the scale.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few things, but one of them being people now have this way of uh, kind of tracking where they're at. And also it gives you, well, Chalkit gave you the tool, but basically because of the foundation of level method, the levels and all of that, and the specific movements, you're able to go back to that saying what happened, what went wrong. So it gives you even a better, more personal touch on those folks. Michael, are you using Chalkit?
No.
Okay. Okay. Chalkit, just, I don't know if both of you guys know this, but Chalkit will be built into the Level Method app within months.
Awesome.
It'll be part of the entire system. So super excited about that, because those tools, even though I only train a few people, those tools have been really beneficial to me as well. So couldn't be happier with that. So Michael, anything to add to what Jeff said, or did that spark any thoughts for you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think seeing the way that this helps people become more well-rounded has been really, really powerful too. You know, like you talked a little bit before we started about how when, at least for us, when we instituted level method and put it into place, there was a little bit of pushback from a couple of our folks, literally two, and one of them was like a beast in 12 of the categories,
Exactly.
but not in those last three.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and another one just like loved lifting, and that's all this person wanted to do is just lifting, and it really helped us clarify like what are we trying to do as our gym, and what we're trying to do is make a well-rounded athlete. Like, we're not trying to build powerlifters, we're trying to build well-rounded athletes, and so that's what we're doing. And if that's not what you want to do, cool, but that's what we want to do, and that's the tools that we're using for that, and it will help. And so like the people we have now who are like highest level folks are super well-rounded. Well, I mean, we had a guy who his first day, like a year ago, he came in and he did, so we tested like group one for him. His front squat test, it was version 1, so I can't remember what it was, but he did like 95 pounds for 8 for his front squats. And then he did 26 dead hang pull-ups. And like, just ridiculously like disparate results. And now like he's way brought into balance, and that's super cool. But although we see that at like the highest levels, we're also seeing at the way lower levels, people who are able to like squat below parallel, especially some of our members who've been around for 4 years and have always struggled with that, are now like getting below parallel on their squats all the time. They're getting coordination on their jump rope all the time. And being able to have those super clear standards and say like, look, I know we all have unique abilities, but this is what we're doing now. This is the standard. And this is what we're holding, has been really good and really powerful across the board.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that's just really good stuff. Do you guys use, how have you systemized? I think you kind of touched on this, Jeff. How have you systemized things using level method? Have you used any of the level method tools to help systemize your processes?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just given there. One thing that kind of popped up, and I don't want to like
Go for it. Yep.
toot Chalkett's horn, but you know, like with the close down transitioning to the on or the at home workouts, and then you know anybody that's owning a gym, you're probably getting like inundated on social media with all these different marketing things and how to become an online coach. It's like that's not what I want to do. But the way that Chalkett works and the way that the coaching notes work, like with the actual examples, it's not something that I plan to do. It's not something that I put energy and effort into, but it just kind of naturally happened. I have 4 online clients. Now these people are, they've been here, they've worked out here, they've all been done an assessment here. 2 of them are in the military. They're like away. One is permanently away, and he just wants our programming, which is like a super easy way to deliver it to him. And then one is in the military that he's away for a school for about 3 months, and then he'll come back. But he's continuing to do our workouts. And then another one is kind of geographically, this guy is about an hour away from us, father and son, working out in the garage, came here, you know, to do the assessment. But they have all the tools and they're doing the workouts, you know, just with that Chalkett app. So pre our little shutdown, wasn't thinking about it, planning, it wasn't even on our radar. And now just kind of, because I have the tools to just do it anyway, I have 4 what I guess you would call online clients. You know, and still trying to figure out, like, I'm probably priced it low. That's okay for now because it doesn't take any effort for me. They all are pretty self-sufficient, you know, a message here or there about a movement or a scale, but it's not taking much of my time. And I know that was just kind of one very specific example. The one place that we haven't really grown, we've done it a little bit. I have one person currently doing it, but our personal training, I think it's priced right. But definitely, mostly what I've had is kind of people on the lower end of the scale, maybe not comfortable being in class. And I think we've had 4 people do that just in this last year. Currently have one doing it, and she's a longtime member, actually recovering from an injury. So she knows it's safer to work one-on-one. The templates, and I know there's a lot of initiatives out there, but like those templates were a great place to start. And I know it's a ton of work, but it's one of those things where I would like wish it was like built out for every block of the entire map, you know, because it's simple, it's easy, and it's there. I think to get people started, and I like what Mike said, you know, like we're not trying to build power lifters. Anytime anybody's doing anything extra, we're trying to like gear it towards, hey, that thing that you're not good at, maybe we should like do some of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all there. I personally haven't looked much at, I saw, you know, the stuff that the social media stuff being built out. I've seen it. I haven't like dug into it and looked at it, but you know, there's things where I know that right now, just in my current situation, a little bit of like shooting from the hip, but you know, I see that, hey, there's more resources out there inside Level Method than I'm even having personal time to go dig through.
Yeah.
So that's good and reassuring. But all those few things, like you didn't have to like take some master class or anything, just kind of the tools that are already here. Somebody's geographically away from you. They're familiar with you and your system. It's like that delivery just kind of naturally happened. And like I said, I have 4 people doing that now.
Awesome.
We did next to nothing with personal training for the first couple of years we were in business, and like Level Method, and we've gotten real serious about it in the last maybe 4 months or so. But like Level Method has opened up a ton of opportunities for that for us, because there are people who like really struggle with double unders, say, or pull-ups or single unders even. And like, there's a lot that you can do in a 1-hour class, but if you have 12 people in the class and like Susie's really struggling, it's been so easy to go over and be like, hey, Susie, why don't we set up like a 30-minute one-on-one and let's come in and drill some double unders? Or like, hey, Jennifer, let's set up some time and let's maybe take like 3 months and really work one-on-one on getting you that pull-up that you want. And being able to both frame it like that, so that it doesn't seem like super salesy or anything, but just like, hey, you want to move up the scale here. Like, this isn't happening in a class. You need some one-on-one attention. Let's make this happen. I mean, like, has done a lot, like from the financial perspective in our business.
Right.
Like, being able to open up those opportunities has been great. And I mean, everybody's happy. Like, our coaches are happy who are doing it. The members are thrilled because they're getting these results. Like, we're happy as business owners. It's just awesome. And that's not, we didn't have like that clear of a way to put those kinds of personal training things into place before this, but being able to have this real clear framework has just set that up for us really easily.
That's awesome to hear. That's really great to hear. So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit, because we had a call, a Legion call, not 2 weeks ago. We do them every Monday, and I lead those calls, and it's just basically 30 to 45 minutes of owners talking to each other. Like, I lead it, but they get to talk about whatever they want. It's been really cool. But one of the things they talked about was like marketing. Marketing's huge. It's a big question for folks. We are in COVID, and a lot of people are noticing some really rapid growth just based on people wanting to be healthy, being tired of being cooped up at home. But more importantly, there's this, okay, is there a way to leverage what we have with Level Method and not necessarily pay for marketing, but get something out of it? And my answer, I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Yes. It's called power of moments. It's called celebrations. And by doing that right and being consistent, you can definitely see growth in your gym. And Michael, I want to ask you this because I know the answer, because you were the example I used. And so kind of tell us your story back, what was it, a year ago, 6 months ago, something like that. We had a conversation, you told me about your growth.
Yeah. So, I mean, we really took seriously the call and like the Level Method training to be like, hey, if somebody levels up, you got to celebrate it. Like, double down. If you, in that moment, like all you have is a little whiteboard and you don't have your printer and they leveled up overall, cool. Like, have them write it on there and take a picture of them. And then the next day or next time they come in, give them their certificate and take another picture of them.
Yep.
And so we were just like, all right, check, got it. And that's what we've been doing. And being able to see that has been huge for those people and for their families and for their friends. And so what we ended up doing is just like, everybody in our gym, like all of our coaches have the gym Instagram account on their phone. They have it linked to the gym Facebook account on their phone. And it's just like standard procedure. If somebody hits a level up, and you know, like it's pretty easy to see in a workout, like there's going to be an opportunity for that here. Right. And so at the end of class, you say like, hey, who leveled up today? Better yet, in the moment, you say who leveled up today. Everybody claps for that person. And then we set aside, we have little mini whiteboards. We set those aside just to remind ourselves. And then at the end of class, we say like, hey, Jenny and Susie, come on up, write down on this board what you did. And we're going to take a picture with the coach up by the whiteboard. Or not by the whiteboard, I'm sorry, by the Level Method map. And so we'll do that. And then it's your job, if you coach that class, it's your job before you go home to post that up on social media. Throw up a little thing, a couple hashtags, and then go. And so like just having that built in for our coaches, we're like, this is the expectation, this is what we're doing, makes it super simple. It doesn't take any coach longer than 90 seconds to pull that off. And the return on investment from that 90 seconds is huge. Even if you're just talking about like retention, which is like one of the easiest ways to grow your revenue of all, right? Is just to like make your members stay longer. It's huge. But then also like they share those pictures on their own social media, and their families comment on it and their friends comment on it and all that stuff. And I do, like I say to my coaches, whenever we start like a new thing, like it was like probably 40 or 50 posts that we did like that before it, like the momentum picked up. And so you can't judge it based on the first 6 times you do it and be like, well, this doesn't work, I only got 2 likes. Like, you got to keep it going, and then kind of trust it'll take off. But we do that. And then anytime somebody gets an overall level up, that triggers in the app and triggers an email, and we make sure that we print off a certificate for them. And we just post up in our coaches Facebook group and say like, hey, Tiffany got an overall level up. Her certificate's on the desk. If she's in your class this week, make sure you highlight her. And then at the beginning of that class, in our gym, we're like, do it however you want. But if you leveled up, you're the highest person in the room. And so like we have somebody like on the rig or somebody hanging from the rings or people doing like a human pyramid or like whatever, but they hold their certificate and then everybody points at them and takes a picture, and it's awesome. And I mean, it does so many things just from like, if you want to get into like the brain chemistry stuff and like serotonin boosts for everybody, seeing that person be celebrated, feeling celebrated, that sort of stuff going out into social media where people are sharing it and commenting on it and seeing about our gym like, oh, this is a place where a person who looks like me is a big deal. And like, I don't have to be the jacked guy with tattoos and a six pack. Like that person looks like a normal person and look how everybody is like cheering for them. And so like it really helps us sort of portray the culture that we want to portray about our gym.
Yeah, I share that with people and they're like, well, what do we do? What if we know if someone doesn't want to be celebrated? I said, I'm pretty sure that in Michael's gym, all they have to do is stand on a box or a plate and everyone else just leans down. So everyone else is playing to it. They're not going above and beyond, but they're still elevated. And I love that because it just creates an expectation. And I think what you said earlier is probably something many people have missed. Not calling anybody out, but a lot of people start really strong with level method celebrations. And then they peter out and they peter out.
Yeah.
One or two float in. But what you said to me months ago that resonated was we didn't see an immediate kickback. We didn't see an immediate, you said it again, return. But after months of this, there was an obvious return. And the consistency is key. Now, I'm going to tell everybody that's watching this, I've watched your social media every day almost since then. And there is never, well, okay, can't count COVID. There's never a week that goes by that there's not a celebration in there. Never. And typically it's 2 or 3 or more. And I'm like, if I'm somebody in your community, if I'm in your gym and I'm getting celebrated, what am I going to do? I'm going to share that post. And then basically what I have done as a member of your gym is I've just did free marketing for you. And like you said, it's the average person. Whoa, that person's like me. And look what they're doing. And you have something else that you do every time. You mentioned it, but you didn't make it a point. Is it who's in the picture every time?
Coach.
A coach.
And coach every time. Because we want to, and I mean, this is straight from the level method training, right? This is not like our idea. We need to demonstrate to the world that you are accomplishing these things, but you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with somebody in your corner who cares about you and is going to be there for you and is going to celebrate when you do it.
Right.
And I mean, like like how many videos have you seen of somebody getting their first muscle up and like everybody loses their mind? And it's awesome. But that lets that happen for everybody, because the reality is like probably 85% of people who train here are never going to get a muscle up ever. And if we're waiting around to celebrate somebody until they get their first muscle up or their first body weight snatch, like it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, I love that. So you have grown because of your consistency. You've grown numbers. And my understanding is the only thing you changed was your consistency with posting, your celebrations. And would you let us know roughly with a disclaimer?
Yeah. So you asked me how many people I thought we added just from Power of Moments. And like, that's not a question on our intake form.
Right.
Like, was it Power of Moments that got you here?
What is that?
If I were guessing, based on like how many people, mention level method, mention, hey, I saw my friend, whatever, I would say it was probably 30 to 40 people over the last 18 months from that specifically.
It's incredible.
Which is significant. Like that's big.
Yeah, and that's the equation. Every gym owner who wants a little more, not, hey, let's be clear, not every gym wants to grow more people. They want to grow more
Right.
people of what they want to maybe change their numbers. They, like Jeff has 60, he has a very tight knit community, and maybe Jeff loves his 60 and wants to keep it there. Now we're all about retention, but there's folks out there with 100 and they'd love to get rid of 40 and grow with another
Totally.
that fit, right?
Totally. Yep.
And so both of you talked about people when you first started that were like, whoa, 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 I don't like this. Now I'm going to be honest with Level Method. That happens at every single gym. I have yet to hear of a gym that didn't have some sort of friction with somebody based mostly on ego. Like you said, they crushed it in 12 levels and three of them, they're like horrible. And it really strikes their ego. So have either of you guys seen that as a positive? What you might have seen negative at beginning turn into a positive. Jeff?
I mean, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, it's my turn, Mike. Come on.
I know, I'm sorry.
We're all friends here.
Yeah, definitely. I have like almost like some Yogi Bear type things that I say that people think are funny. Some people like write down my quotes. But a thing that I do tell people is there's two types of people in the world: people looking for a way out and people looking for a way in. And having an objective measure, it's rewarding as a coach. It's rewarding for the people when you see somebody that has the character, the commitment and the sincerity, of their own nature to pursue the things that they struggle at. For building a culture, the other end of that spectrum, like you said, is that if there is a person that is going to try to hide in the shadows or avoid the difficult things in life, not just like in working out, or figure a way out of doing the hard thing, it does kind of weed them out, and it enhances the culture over time. And an interesting thing, I don't know how many other people have done this, but I have like a handful of people that are long-term members that they don't have a CrossFit level 1 or anything like that. They're not even remotely interested in being a coach, but we've done the online training and Level Method because there's only like so much that I can spew back so that they kind of get like a little more nuance or as much nuance as they want, and we kind of have identified those people too. So when we do testing, like these people, I don't know if it like, well, I know specifically that it differentiates them, but it also serves to like uphold the standard. And, like they've identified and they know who can handle it, but it's interesting to watch like a workout of a big group here and just like how accountable everybody holds each other. So I think maybe that's one thing that I do that's a little different, but like their certificates are on the wall, right, with the level 2s and level 1s and CrossFit Kids and all the other certificates that we have. Right there's 3 people that have a Level Method or did our training because we're afforded the space to do that will never coach a class, but they also like they uphold the virtuosity of like how we do it here.
I actually encourage that. I actually do. If you have members that are that invested, and they may never coach, but for them to understand the methodology, even the basics of the energy systems in the housing, energy systems in the house analogy, or even understanding the power moments, they like, oh, like wow, and then they help the rest of the members buy in. It's a leadership thing. I think that's extremely powerful, and it's I'm glad you brought that up. And so, how are you guys like? Let me restate this. What do you do? Or actually, let me go back even a step further. Michael, answer that same question.
Yeah.
At the beginning, what has that done?
I think it helps clarify our culture, right? Like it, I feel like the experience that I've had over the last 6 years is that you sometimes get people in your gym and it's just like not a good fit.
Right.
And like, it makes friction and it makes things get weird and people have weird energy in classes around that person. But like, you don't want to ask them to leave because you need the money. And like, it's a mess. And being able to just really have like some objective metrics that we can lay out and say like, hey, this is what our gym is about. We are about growth and progression. We are about making sure that you're well-rounded, and we're about celebrating each other when you're achieving new milestones. And like, if that's not you, then like, I can point you to a couple other places around here that I think you're going to be really happy. But like, this is who we are and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And being able to have like posters on the wall and maps and social media everywhere that just like reinforces that message has really helped us, like really helped us get to a place where the vast majority, nearly every single person at our gym is like, yes, we're in it. We're like in the game, on the same team. Here we are. Let's go. Yeah, because it just lets us be really clear about who we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. So let's go ahead and wrap this up and talk about, like, I want to ask each of you a question. How do you do your assessments? When it comes to level method assessments, are you wrapping them throughout? Because one thing I want to address and get back to is some people are like, well, Michael, how are you celebrating people every week and you're not doing an assessment? And I think this is a big point. And I'll ask you the same thing, Jeff. How is that occurring? Like, tell me.
Yeah, right now is kind of a strange time. So we did kind of put out, bringing people back slowly. I think we're past that. Everybody's pretty much right back where they were. Right now, uniquely, we're kind of going through just like the Kickstart works. So we started last weekend and it was fun. We're just weightlifting and upper body push and squat endurance as our community workout on a Saturday morning. And we did that because we have a Olympic weightlifting seminar this Saturday, which we got fully booked, which is also good. And then the 4 weekends after that, we're going to continue on with the Kickstart. And I think it's just enough time where people are kind of back into the swing of things. And then we're also putting it out just this time only, but anytime during an open gym for that week. Like, that's what we're doing this week. Now, on top of that, today is a good example of, we had the upper body pull and the strength portion. There's some people that are relatively new towards the lower end of the scale. And, like, because they're familiar with it and we just set it up maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, I had some people doing the ring rows and the chin over bar holds today rather than, hey, let's hit another set of negatives. When we are kind of in like a normal 3-month window, like I hold people pretty firm to, like, let's just do the work today. Let's just do the work, and in 90 days, we'll take another look. Right now, we're kind of doing a little bit of everything just to give those opportunities. And like I said, we're making it up as we go right now. But once we kind of get this done and over, operating normally, I'll probably go back to let's stick to every 90 days, do the work in between. And that also, I think, kind of keeps it away. One other interesting thing, even like myself, we did weightlifting. I went down 1 notch, and it's okay. It actually was a good example for some of the upper level people where they had a red or a red 1 for weightlifting. It's like, okay, we came back down to black 3 or black 2. And getting to make that point even over time is like, this is not a linear thing. That for people that start out maybe as a yellow overall, it's going to be a linear thing for a long time. And that's great. But people that come out as like a purple 3 or a brown overall is not going to be linear, And just because you clean and jerk 285 back in January doesn't mean you can do it today. Gaining weight, losing weight, things that happen. So that was also kind of in a larger group. One of the first times I got to make that point of like, hey, and I kind of have it like with front squat. I had a little tweak in my knee from before the holidays, so people know what I can lift, and they'll see like every day I'm not lifting those numbers. And it's more like, this will pass, this will heal, and we'll move on. So that was good.
You brought up
Being able to make. Go ahead.
something important is that it's not always a upward movement that we
Right.
do on the map. And we've implemented inside the app PR sections so that you know where you've been and where you're going, because we want to encourage folks to actually record even if they're down lower. And by
Right.
increasing that, people won't be fearful of assessment cycles or an assessment that's coming up, because it's part of the process. Like, we have to know. It's like our weight. It's like, oh, well, I'm 170, and last week I was 176, but I'm down to 172 right now. So I'm it's like, no, you need to know, because when you start drawing conclusions on connections,
Yeah.
why that's happening. Michael, I'll let you speak to that, because you do have level ups basically every week.
Right. And like, if you go check our social media right now, you will not see that, because we're in New York and we're still like 4 months into our shutdown. We're still shut down. We just got to outdoor workouts and have spent the last few weeks like building people back up, and we're going to start doing some more assessment and stuff, I think, coming up. But so we do a few different things. We do like the global assessments. So every 3 months we do an open gym just one time a month. We have an hour that's open gym that used to be like people trying whatever they saw on Instagram, and is now like 95% level up attempts.
Right.
Almost everybody who's there is trying to do that. And then where most of ours come is, just like you said, Jeff, in those strength sections. And what I say a lot, and what our coaches say a lot too, is if it's something where you've got like 12 minutes to work on a set of 8 front squats, what I always say is like, look, testing is very fun, but that's not training. Yeah. Testing doesn't make you stronger. Testing shows you where you are. So if you want to test today, cool, but you need to spend at least 10 of those 12 minutes training. Do sets of 8, do sets of 8, do sets of 8. And then at the very end, if you're like, I think I can hit a new set of 3, snag me, and like, let's do a quick set of 3. And so that, because there are 3 to 4 like sessions like that every week, right? And so there's gonna be an opportunity, and chances are good somebody is gonna level up.
Mm-hmm. So it's almost two different approaches, which is totally
fine.
Yeah,
totally. Yep. Like, we kind of went into it and said, like, how can we give people the most opportunities to be celebrated here? And like, those are ways to do it. And so that lets us do that. And then obviously, like, if somebody's doing that kind of stuff and then that bumps them up an overall level, then we'll see that in the app, and then be able to celebrate that also.
Yeah. That's awesome. So anything else either of you want to say, or something that's come up to your mind that you think you should share with maybe some newer, let's do it this way, anything you want to share with a gym that's new coming on with Level Method or newer? Jeff.
The thing, it continues to happen. I've been doing CrossFit 5 years, been in the Level Method about 18 months. And I don't specifically right offhand remember what it was, but there's something that came up in a warm up last week, and it was like that realization. Like, it doesn't matter how long you do this, like, there's always going to be something new come up, but you have to go figure out, like, how should we do this? Why are we doing it? What are we supposed to get from it? And 9 times out of 10, when you become familiar with the notes and movements, right, you're like, I kind of get it. But as far in as you think you can possibly get, there's still going to be something new come at you every once in a while. And that's just on the simple end, with movements. But what energizes me is, like, every single person has some different motivation, a different emotional scale in life that they're dealing with. So I kind of always say too, like, the exercise part is easy, when it comes to coaching or running a gym or doing training. Like, the exercising really is, like, it's pretty simple, if you attack it with some humility, and you're not trying to do a ring muscle up because it's some dance move that you want to do, which might injure yourself. But if you do it with some humility, that's pretty simple. I mean, the finer art, or simplifying, I guess we spent all this time talking about these systems. If you really simplify that part, then you can spend more time, like, what's going on with this person, what's going on in their life. It's interesting you said like we kind of have a smaller group here, but like there's newer people, and there's some people that don't come work out on Saturdays or don't come to a party if you have it. But it's kind of like what my personal sphere of influence is. It might not have anything to do with the market availability in this area, but 60 really close friends that I can actually be sincere with is probably about my capacity. And that kind of mirrors like lessons I learned 5 years ago in the military too. So it's interesting how that's come to fruition. But somebody that's new, this simplify things. You can get to, I mean, what are we spending our time talking about? How to empower people. We're not talking about how to teach the pools of a snatch or something. That's just not what we're spending our time and effort on. We've systemized that part, and we're thinking about the more challenging, undefinable, nuanced things.
Yeah. Awesome. Michael?
Yeah, I'd say if you're new to it, like trust the process, trust the training. Not only because like we've seen it work really well for our gym, for everything we're talking about, for growth, for culture, for members, for all that sort of stuff, but also like over the last 18 months, what I feel like I've seen time and time and time again is that like Nathan and you all in leadership, Scott, like are just absolutely committed to a relentless pursuit of doing the best job you can and doing that with humility, which means I've seen, I don't know how many times, some gym owner be like, hey, wouldn't it be better if it were this way? And everybody's like, yes, it would be better. Let's make it happen. And there are groups where like the leader of that group will bite your head off if you do something like that. That's not the case. Like it's super open. There's a lot of humility and a lot of wisdom. And like, I feel like particularly at this point, whatever you guys put up, I'm like, I'm game. Cause I know that has been super tested the whole way through. And the amount of content that you all put out to support gym owners is staggering. Like we didn't even touch on the way you guys provided like whatever it was, 12 weeks of at-home customized workouts for anybody who's who's stuck in lockdown, or all the social media posts, or all the coaches notes that make all your coaches basically like professionals
Right.
all of a sudden.
Right.
I mean, like it's just outrageously good stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And, another note from my perspective as the person who onboards all these gyms is like, it's one step at a time. Understand the system, but I do want to reiterate that many stop short of really getting into the power moments segment. And I think they have momentum and it's awesome, but it's like having a chest full of gold and you only take the top layer off and the rest you just put away. You're missing out on the real payoff and the real benefit of level methods. So I appreciate you guys speaking to that. And thank you for being our very first guests on the Legion Chalk Talk. I think you guys brought a ton of value to Legion owners, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. It was super fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Scott.